Now, Michael, I'll tell you, I've talked to a lot of people. Oh, you're just substituting one drug for another. And I say to them, so what? If people can take a medication that is going to help them stabilize, get a job, see their grandchildren, support their families, why would we not do that?
And greetings, everyone, and welcome to Buzz for Good, where we're talking all things nonprofit, the people they serve, and the good they do. And on today's show, we are buzzing about 3 wildly different capital projects that received a lot of buzz this week. There's a new Y that is being built inside Tanglewood Mall in Roanoke County. There's a restoration and preservation campaign in an historic African American cemetery, and a new shelter to better serve the city's homeless. And now, what do all 3 of these projects have in common? They are all run by, that's right, nonprofits. Nonprofits literally do everything in our society, which is why I so love and appreciate all that they do, which is why I want to try to give them as much buzz as possible. And so on today's show, I will be talking with the leaders of these 3 nonprofits. We have Mark Johnson, President and CEO of the YMCA of Virginia's Blue Ridge. We have Ellen Forbes Stick, President of Friends of Old Lick Cemetery, and Melissa Woodson, Executive Director of Ram House, that's Roanoke Area Ministries. As for me, I am Michael Hemphill, creator and host of this radio show and the TV show Buzz that airs every Wednesday night, 7 p.m. on Blue Ridge PBS. You can watch all of our 48 episodes to date, all that goes all the way back to 2020, on our website, buzzforgood.com, or our YouTube channel at Buzz for Good, and that's Buzz, B-U-Z-Z, number 4, Good. I should say our Emmy Award-nominated TV show. Our 49th episode airs June 26th. Starring all of the various organizations like Appalachian Trail Conservancy that protect and promote our region's most visited site, McAfee Knob. And I invite you to our free watch party that Wednesday evening, June 26th, starting at 5 p.m. at Old Salem Brewery on Market Street in downtown Roanoke. You can find out more about that event through our website, buzzforgood.com. Then on July 17th, it is our big 50th episode, and I will be hosting a free celebration, once again open to all, that evening at the Grandin Theater. You can sign up now for that free event through our website, Buzz for Good. I want to take a moment to thank our sponsors, Friendship, a senior living retirement community serving all of the Roanoke Valley, friendship.us. We have Partners in Financial Planning, a Southwest Virginia-based financial management firm, partnersinfinancialplanning.com, and First Bank and Trust, headquartered in Southwest Virginia, providing individuals and businesses with an exceptional suite of tools, resources, and solutions to navigate financial life. firstbank.com. And now, let's learn more about the exciting announcement that came out of the YMCA of Virginia's Blue Ridge about a brand new Y being built inside Tanglewood Mall. And here's my conversation with my good friend, Mark Johnson.
Once this project is all completed at Tanglewood Mall, what will it look like?
Well, it'll look a lot like a YMCA that I think a lot of the things that people would expect, with a couple unique features, but still the mission is the same. Our heart for what the Y will be doing in that space is the same. There's health, there's wellness, there's tons of kids programming, trying to engage people of all ages with the different things that we're doing. Probably the unique pieces to it, because of where it is in the second story of Tanglewood Mall, is we will have, there's no basketball gym, we don't have the ceiling height for it, no pool, but we'll have dedicated pickleball courts, 8 of them, and also we're doing yoga at this space as well. So a couple of amenities that people are not used to from the Y.
Dedicated pickleball, huge,
yes,
huge, well done. So, I mean, you've got a phenomenal facility at Kirk Family Y. You've got another phenomenal facility, Salem Family Y. You've got Gainsborough Y, all in Roanoke. Was there a need for another huge 47,000 square foot, I believe, facility in the Roanoke area.
Yes, we believe there was. Several years ago, we did a study of our current Ys and their footprints and who came to our Ys, and we were really doing it out of a spirit of saying who are we not serving that we should be serving. As we look to where we wanted to invest in communities. And actually, the South Roanoke County area was one of the larger holes in that, as far as not being as representative, maybe as we thought. We thought that they come to us from there, and some do, but it was actually a much larger hole than we thought it would be. And so that was kind of the beginning of us just kind of keeping our hearts and minds and ears open for if there was an opportunity that made sense.
That is spectacular. And using an existing, footprint like a mall, which malls these days, especially post-pandemic, are increasingly empty spaces. Being able to utilize that to provide this awesome facility with ample parking already in place, which I know is a big issue, particularly like if you're Kirk family wide, for instance, where it's kind of limited there. To be able to offer this and fill out this, mall space is huge. Bravo.
Yeah, Michael, it's interesting because historically, if we thought we needed a while, we always talked about let's do a big capital campaign and find some land and build a building and do those types of things. But, post-pandemic and all the things and finance rates and everything we look at, the more and more it makes sense when in the real estate market that it is. It's like, man, we can spend a lot less money on the front end, be in a great location with a lot of the amenities that we would normally have to raise a lot of money to produce. And people, the mall ownership and everybody else loves what we bring as well. So it really ended up making a ton of sense for us.
Right, and in a kind of a landlocked area like Roanoke City, Roanoke County, where developable land is such a premium, being able to reuse, it fits that whole kind of green model as well, which is very nice.
This is a space that has been empty for 13 plus years, so bringing life to that space alone, and then really the spaces around it was a big part of what I think appealed to us as part of this project.
Yeah, because I would imagine the mall, and I want to kind of rewind to how we began this conversation with, exploring the space at the mall. How did that come about? Because I imagine the mall is very excited about this as well, because you're going to be bringing more people in. There's going to be opportunity for other commercial development in some empty storefronts in the mall. So how did this conversation first begin and when?
So I will tell you that probably about a year ago, we started talking about pickleball specifically and saying, man, the real estate market is a little softer. There's spaces out there that we might not have to have a high premium that we're paying for. And we were having the pickleball pressure on our current facilities.
Yeah.
So we started looking for, we were thinking more like shell buildings on a side street type of like, where are the spaces that we could put a floor in and play pickleball indoors and kind of help meet this need. We were not looking at malls, I can promise you. And then just kind of the idea popped up. There was a couple places. There's even one in Richmond right now where they were going into malls. And we had our board chair gave me a call and said, there is a big space in Tanglewood Mall. If you want to look at it, we can show it to you. And I honestly still didn't think that would make any sense. And then we went over and the column widths were precisely what we needed. And the ceiling height was tight, but we could move some things. And it was like, this could actually work. And then you start getting really excited about just that interchange and the amount of traffic and the amount of business that is coming to the outside. And then the county's heavy support and promotion of that 419 corridor. It's like, man, if we could get into that space, it's a hot spot for, bringing people in. And so then we just expanded the concept beyond pickleball because, we wanted to make sure it would be long-term financially viable. So having more than one thing was important to us.
Love it. All right, so tell us, and once again, joined here on Buzz for Good by President and CEO of YMCA Virginia's Blue Ridge, Mark Johnson, which is just this week announced a new location that will be built in the in the Tanglewood Mall, about 47,000 square feet of the mall. Real quick, where in the mall is it going to be located?
So you would come in on the right, it's right beside Five Guys and Michael's. It's the
Yep.
entrance in between that, and you walk into the mall, and we're on the upstairs, kind of on the whole back half of that section of the mall. But that would be kind of the YMCA entrance point.
Excellent. All right. So tell us, how do we get from the announcement this week to the day that you guys open that new facility? What all will need to happen?
It's going to be fast and furious for sure. So we've kind of got three things that will happen. The three big areas. One, we're running a capital campaign. We expect the project to be 2 to 2.5 million to completely renovate that space. This isn't throwing paint on walls and calling it something else. You know, there's a lot of things that we'll need to do. And so we've started that capital campaign. We're coming up on $500,000 that we've raised quietly. Bill Kirk was our big gift, as people have heard that name associated with supporting the Y in the past. And so,
Bill Kirk Family Y, chairman of your board, longtime supporter of all things Y in the Roanoke Valley. Yeah,
absolutely, yeah. And he was all in and loves the idea. And so we'll be doing the capital campaign. So we'll be getting the word out on that and trying to engage all of the folks that might want to see something like this happen, especially the pickleball community. I mean, you know, with the uniqueness. And then the two things concurrently now in a project that's shorter like this, in the next 6 months, we've got to do the renovation, which will take multiple veins of work going on at one time in the mall. And then we've got to set up the operations. So, you know, I'm kind of running myself and Daniel Kirchner, our facilities guy, or working with G&H and running the renovation. And then Trisha Reynolds, who you know well, and Jenny Weeks and our team here we'll put out the job posting for running this probably next week. And, you know, just because we'll want to hire the leader for this in September probably. And we want to interview and get staff, and, you know, doing all of those things and setting up how that thing's going to run right out of the gate is the work that's starting now. So we'll be building it and planning how to run it all at the same time.
The proverbial, we're going to learn how to fly this plane while building it.
While we're building it, yeah. But you've met the team. I mean, we've got a team that loves change, that loves to go and do new things, and so everybody's excited about it. So it's going to be great.
So 6 months time from now is when you're planning on opening this facility?
Yes.
And you got a lot of money to raise to do that. And then I imagine it's going to lead to some additional employment for the Y.
Absolutely.
Any idea how many new jobs are coming with this?
We will have probably 50 to 100 jobs that will come in from this. And, you know, similar, we'll start with a core of probably 3 full-time, and then knowing that you want to get running, you want to get started and see where the real pinch points are and be ready to invest and add as we need to pretty quickly. You know, anytime you open a new facility, you do that with equipment and some of the offerings that you have. You plan what you're going to offer initially, and then you listen to the people that are using it and make sure you're ready to pivot and buy the things, do the things, hire the people to make sure we're meeting the need that we actually find there, as opposed to the need we think we'll find.
Wow.
So,
that is,
and then, you know, I have to mention, I mentioned team members and the strong team. You know, Kim Thomas, our development director, is running our capital campaign along with me, bringing me in on that. But you know, she's just fantastic, and so having a lot of faith in these folks to grab a piece of this and all run and do their things really well is a strength that we have with our organization. So it's good.
Yeah. Well, there is that, I guess, a bit of a fundraising challenge in this, you know, that so often you know, you hear that it's easier to raise money for a project that is going to be built than one that has already been built. So are you optimistic that the funding is going to be in place by the time the doors open?
Yes, you know, what we'll do is, as we raise that money, we'll take pledges. So you know, we don't have to, we're not in a spot where if we don't have those money raised, you know, like the money I've got to spend this coming month to get this thing kicked off, if it's not cash in our account, then you know, we're blessed as an organization to have planned for this project some, and to make sure that we can get out of the gate running while we're fundraising. But yeah, the rule used to be you never break ground on a project until you're done with the capital campaign. And you know, this project, just the timing and the speed with which it needed to happen, running those concurrently is something that made sense to us. You know, it's a little bit of a challenge, but in many ways, just like we do with everything, Michael, you know, you have a challenge and you say, how do we make that an advantage? How is that a good part of our story, that we're an organization that can move and is ready to move and can act quickly on the needs that we see, and you know, turn all those things that could be challenges into positive movement. And that's the goal.
Absolutely. Well, again, we're wrapping up our time here with Mark Johnson, President and CEO of YMCA of Virginia's Blue Ridge, because he's got a lot on his plate with the announcement this week of the new YMCA facility that will be at Tanglewood Mall in 6 months' time. And Mark, I know, you know, you and I have now known each other for about 20 years. And
Yes.
I know you and the team in place because you helped create the Y that was kind of my first nonprofit experience here in Eastern Montgomery County. You had just moved to Roanoke, Salem area to be the director of the Salem Y way back in the day, and kind of took us under your wing, helped us get our little Waldron Wellness Center in Eastern Montgomery County off the ground, and continue to thank you for that, because you certainly, we could not have done it without the Y's help.
Yeah.
And then since then, just to watch you kind of grow and blossom into the president and CEO of YMCA Virginia's Blue Ridge, and all the expansion and phenomenal programming and facilities that have come under the Y's umbrella under your watch is really, really inspiring. And I'm so grateful that you made the choice long ago to move from, I believe it was
Emporia, Virginia.
Warrior, Virginia, right,
Yeah.
to come here. And this is just the latest exciting chapter in all this. If people who are listening in are inspired to join in this effort, whether through donations or whatever it may be, where would they need to go, and who would they need to talk to?
We've got a Tanglewood page up and running on our regular website page, and you know, Kim Thomas's contact information is there for the capital work. And if they have questions about the project, you know, we're trying to answer those as they come in as well. And so that'd probably be the best point of contact, would be just go to our website and go to the Tanglewood page. We're going to be putting updates as it develops. It's going to develop fast, so we'll be putting a lot of updates as we go for people that want to follow the project.
Right. And that's ymcavbr.org.
Yes, sir.
Excellent.
YMCA, yeah, VBR, Virginia's Blue Ridge. Yeah.
Yes. And so members who, or your members who are already part of the Y will be able to access this facility at no additional charge. Is that correct?
Yep. It's just it'll just grow. It just grows our network. So if you're a Valley-wide member, then you can come right on over and use it. And nationwide memberships, the same exact way you access all of our other Ys. So
Okay.
that was an important distinction for us with this, is that we wanted it to just be an added piece. A little harder to figure out how well you'll do when you're just adding to a network, but it was an important piece, and we wanted our members to be able to enjoy it.
Well, I know you've got to go. So to kind of sign off on all this, what do you hope happens for like the typical person who comes into this new facility in 6 months' time? What transformation or life experience do you want to see them have?
So the transformation for the area first, I just think it's going to feel like a completely new thing when you walk into a mall that has so many memories for people. Every time I'm in there, somebody's grabbing me and going, I took my girlfriend to the prom here, 25, you know, we came and ate here for the, you know, so there's such an emotional attachment to that building and that mall. So we're excited about that, one, to give that new life and to kind of be part of the mall story. But for people, you know, the Y does something for everybody, but I think the biggest thing that we do is build community. And so whether you're there for wellness or yoga or pickleball or whatever else, what I imagine in that space is just this great sense of relationships and friendships and community. It kind of being, other than work and home, that third place that people look forward to going and spending their time and enriching their lives that way. And hopefully they get healthier and have a lot of fun in the process. But I think those relationships and that experience of just being part of a larger community every day is one of the coolest things that happens at the Y.
Yeah, well, there are many various forms of health. There's the physical, but then there's the emotional, the psychological, and the spiritual that you guys are creating with that sense of community each and every day. So thank you so much for making the time. Good luck with the campaign, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the fall at the new YMCA at Tanglewood Mall, and its name will be
YMCA at Tanglewood. That's the
YMCA at
plan.
Tanglewood. Love it. Love it.
Yep. And Michael, hey, thank you for taking time to do this as well. What you guys do with Buzz for Good and just our relationship through the years and all the good things you've been involved in is it's special stuff. So we love to partner with you and talk with you anytime we can.
Once again, that was Mark Johnson, President and CEO of YMCA Virginia's Blue Ridge. And for more about all that they do in the Roanoke region and beyond, including the new Y facility that's going up in Tanglewood Mall, you can visit YMCAVBR for Virginia's Blue Ridge.org. Next up, so I recently got the opportunity to write an article for Cardinal News about the Old Lick Cemetery, which I had passed any number of times on Orange Avenue right at the intersection with 581, but had never paid it any attention whatsoever until this week when I got the opportunity to again write the story for Cardinal News. And here's how my story began. Until June 4th, the tombstone of Reverend J. J. Jefferson lay face down in the dirt of Roanoke's Old Lick Cemetery, an historic African-American graveyard decimated more than 60 years ago in the name of urban renewal. But today the marker stands erect once more, facing in the direction of Mount Zion AME Church, which Jefferson founded in 1884. The church is long gone now, another casualty in the war for, quote, progress, end quote. But thanks to an all-volunteer nonprofit, the history of some African-American dead may fare better than their living brothers and sisters. Friends of Old Lick Cemetery organized the restoration workshop on June 4th within sight and sound of the project that destroyed it in 1961. And that's Interstate 581, which claimed at least 933 burial sites inside the Black Cemetery. The free hands-on workshop was funded and led by Jonathan Apple, a national expert on monument restoration and president of 48-state tour, Saving America's Graveyards. Since 2020, Apple has led 143 such events across the United States. His team is traveling 15,000 miles currently across the U.S., hosting 56 events in 48 states. And Roanoke was stop number 2 in week 2. More than 30 all-white volunteers showed up on June 4th at the cemetery that's separated from busy Orange Avenue by a rusty chain-link fence. Most were Roanokers whose churches like the Basilica of St. Andrews have their own historic cemeteries. But some came from Bedford, Lexington, Hopewell, even a woman from North Carolina who made the detour en route to a bridal shower in Connecticut. Thousands of Black people were buried in Old Lick Cemetery starting in the 1890s until its final burial in 1952. About 900 remain today, and in addition to Reverend Jefferson are veterans of World War I and even a man who fought in the Civil War. According to Friends literature, John Winston Leftridge was born, likely into slavery, in Bedford County in 1837, but as a young man escaped to Ohio. In 1862, he enlisted in the U.S. Army and was assigned to Company F of the 100th Regiment, U.S. Colored Infantry, where he guarded rail lines in northern Tennessee and Kentucky and fought in the Battle of Nashville. After the war, he returned to Ohio to work as a laborer, but eventually needed treatment at the National Home for Disabled Volunteer Soldiers. In 1903, he returned to Virginia and died on August 20th, 1918. He is now buried in Old Lick Cemetery. And Old Lick's demise began 9 years after its final burial, when a portion of the land was claimed by eminent domain for construction of Interstate 581. At least 933, but perhaps as many as 1,300 graves were impacted. Families were notified about their removal only by a few announcements in the Roanoke Times, and given 1 month to find new burial sites for their relatives. It was one of many projects, including the Berglund Center and other commercial development, that impacted not only Roanoke's living African Americans, but its dead as well. Over the decades, much of the site fell into disrepair. The parcel containing the remains of First Baptist Church of Gainsborough congregants was maintained by the church, but the rest was overgrown by weeds and paradise trees. As Roanoke City Public Schools social studies supervisor, Ellen Forbes Stick wanted to provide city leaders and students an opportunity to learn more about Roanoke's history. In March of 2019, she began work on the cemetery and kept it as a pet project after her retirement in December of that year. Since her retirement, Stick founded the Friends Group. Friends meets the second Saturday of each month to work on the property, and they have a Facebook page you can find under Friends of Old Lick Cemetery. And here's my conversation with Friends President Ellen Forbes Stick.
I was the social studies supervisor for Roanoke City Schools, looking for a project for a professional development activity for the teachers, who were a lot of young people who really didn't need to sit in a room listening to me talk with PowerPoint. So I was looking for something for us to do, thinking it would be a cool way to spend that day. And I'd been driving back and forth as I would go to the administration building from the various schools for the last several years, seeing the continued decline of that space. And in February 2019, I actively tried to find who was the owner of the cemetery and what was the what had happened before and what were the plans for the future. And it was fairly difficult. I found a couple newspaper articles that gave me some direction, and visited with some folks at the Winston Link. Looking at the city records, found out that the First Baptist Church Gainsborough was the owner, and they happened to be having a trustee meeting that evening. So I went to the trustee meeting to ask for their blessings for this project, and that was February. So in March, that was when the first cleanup day, we had several teachers who were involved, and it was a really cool event. And it also coincided nicely with the upcoming changes to graduation requirements with some community service. So it would be twofold in learning the history of the area, as well as providing an opportunity for students to eventually have community service projects. So one of the goals was being able to have future student projects for community service to meet some of the new requirements that were coming in through the DOE.
Okay. So that got you started, and that was in 2019, as I recall you sharing.
Yes.
You retired from the school system in December of 2020.
2019.
Oh, sorry, 2019. But then there was something about this cemetery that continued to cling to you a little bit, where you then were inspired to create the Friends of Old Lick Cemetery, and you continue working on that site to this day.
Yes. It evolved. Mostly the association and the structure with the board is so that we can do grant applications through the Virginia Humanities, as well as some of the other national and state government entities that are funding cemetery cleanups, in addition to other philanthropic organizations. But we needed to have we couldn't be loosey-goosey anymore. We needed to be organized.
Right. And so what happened this week to further your work?
Okay, so Allison Nichols passed by and saw us working there the February or the March cleanup day. So she saw us working, and she found the application for the 48 state tour and got in touch with me and asked if we could possibly look at that. And she filled out the application papers. I was busy and unable to take care of it at that point, but she was able to fill it out, and we put some details down with going between us, and it was submitted in less than 23 hours from when she contacted me and selected immediately.
Wow.
So now knowing Jonathan Appel's connection to the area and that he was aware of some work being done, now that sort of makes that fit a little bit.
Yeah,
more.
and Jonathan Appel, he is kind of the head of this 48 state tour, Saving America's Cemeteries initiative.
Exactly. And so he, through his company, Atlas Preservation, he is an expert in restoration of stones and cleaning of stones. And I have always wanted to make sure that anything that we did would be within the responsibilities that would be kosher with the Park Service. And he is. So we've never set a stone that was had toppled over. We'd never reset a stone until this week because we wanted to make sure we were doing it within the guidelines of the Park Service.
Yeah. And one of the, I guess, most inspiring stories that I remember from that event was the tombstone for Reverend J.J. Jefferson, who died in the early 1900s, but was the founder of the first, the Mount Zion AME Church. And once his headstone was lying on the ground, and once it was put back up, he now once again from the grave faces in the direction of where the church was once located. So just a lovely work being done there.
So, and the other piece that's interesting with that is right beside him is his wife's obelisk. And when we started, the obelisk was in the forest.
Wow.
So we've always, her stone has always been a marker for us that our work really was significant, because that obelisk was in the weeds and in the pretty dense brush and trees, and now they're both standing up straight, and it's just so cool to have at the end of the day that view.
Yeah. So what's your ultimate goal for the cemetery once your work is done?
Our goal is to continue clearing the particularly paradise trees, Asian honeysuckle, and all the English ivy and other weeds and whatnot. Clear that to where you can see all the stones. There are military stones that are up in that dense forest that you can't really see from any point at this right now. Our goal is that there's a clear line of vision from the entire property, and a nice wrought iron looking fence that will go around what you can see up to the interstate on-ramp, and an attractive gate, a memorial to those folks who were removed, maybe not by name because some of the names we'll never know, but a statement of that piece. We're in the process of having a meditation area at the summit on the top of the trail that is cut there now. And the meditation area will have a narrative of the history. It will have 2 benches for folks who have made it to the top of that point and need to sit and can just sit and observe as opposed to walking around. And at that point, our work will be done, and we will hopefully have money in a fund that is at First Baptist Church, Gainsborough, that will continue maintaining, with possibly the need for professional folks to come in from time to time to keep it up. But I don't think our work is going to be done anytime in the near future.
Right. But for people, I know you meet the second Saturday of every month to do cleanup.
Yes. During daylight savings time, we start at 8:30, and the rest of the colder months we start at 10, and we work for about 2 hours.
Excellent. Well, hopefully all the great news coverage that you got this week, and maybe even this little radio show, will help give you a little more buzz. And, just thank you so much for the work that you're doing to preserve this important historical site, to African Americans and for all Roanokers. So thank you so much.
Well, I greatly appreciate your attention to this and being on your show to continue the message, and hopefully we will have some time in the future for updates.
Love it. Look forward to it. Thanks so much, Ella.
One more time, you can learn more about Friends of Old Lick Cemetery by searching for their Facebook page. And lastly, on today's show, there was a recent announcement from Ram House, Ram standing for Roanoke Area Ministries, which offers day shelter for homeless individuals in Roanoke. There was an announcement of a $4 million campaign to renovate a building that they have purchased in downtown Roanoke to better serve Roanoke's growing homeless population. Now, way back in 2020, right at the start of the pandemic, Buzz featured Ram on one of our very first episodes, and it was just a couple of months after Executive Director Melissa Woodson was brought on board. Well, the past 4 years has been remarkable for Ram House, thanks in large part to Melissa's efforts. And so it was great being able to catch up with her to talk about their latest and perhaps greatest project to date.
Well, it is my pleasure to welcome an old friend to Buzz for Good, Melissa Woodson, who is the Executive Director of Ram House, Roanoke Area Ministries here in Roanoke. Melissa, good to see you.
Oh, hi, Mike. It's always a pleasure.
Hey, let me start with this question before we get to talking about your capital project.
Mhm.
Why do you care about people who are homeless?
I think a lot of it has to do with the background I come from. And, I come from the lower middle class, so I know what it is to struggle. And I think the other thing is my parents always taught us that we were no better than anyone else. And it is so important to me that the people who are the most vulnerable in our society be treated with respect and treated equally. So I bring a great passion to the homeless situation.
Mm-hmm. Can you describe, I mean, you've been at Ram House now since, I believe, is it 2019 or 2020?
February 2020, right as COVID hit.
Wow. Wow. So what have you seen change over your, now 4+ years at Ram House in
Well, let me
terms
say
of
this,
homelessness? Mhm.
uh, when I got to Ram House, the programs were fine. Everything was fine, but the population of Romanokers didn't know about us. They did to an extent, but they didn't know the good works we were doing. And honestly, there was some serendipity that occurred when I first got here. And one of them was you're making a phone call. And I remember at the time, you had the first 4 episodes of Buzz for Good, and someone didn't have time to do it. And you called and you said, I'd like to video and put you on PBS. And we were like, come over now. So, and what happened with that whole thing, Michael, and I really credit you a lot to our success, because we jumped on rebranding, getting a new website. And by the time you came along, we were ready for the next steps. And you hooked us up with the in-kind of Wheeler Digital. And that kind of catapulted us to a new level. We still are using Wheeler, and our donations have gone up significantly. So I credit Buzz for Good for a lot of things going on in this community. And I know there was some magic that happened at the Ram House, and I'm so grateful to you for it.
Well, you're very sweet. I like to tell folks that, we are simply putting on screen the great work that they are already doing that has been unnoticed by too many people. And so it was an honor to be able to feature Ram House in one of our very first episodes of Buzz way back. And wow, it seems like a lifetime ago, with not only just the amount of years, but just what was going on in our country during that time with the start of the pandemic. And, and your work was so incredibly important at that time. And how has it evolved over the last 4 years as far as in helping people who are homeless?
Well, I think one of the things that the board of directors of Ram House and I have had to look at is the increasing homelessness in the Roanoke Valley and what we can do to be a part of an answer.
Mm-hmm.
So our vision about what the future of Ram House is going to be evolved over that time period. And we are making significant changes to the future Ram House. I like to refer to it as Ram House 2.0.
Yeah.
We have actually purchased a building at 410 Elm, and we are in the middle of a capital campaign to renovate that building. So there's a lot of changes that are going to occur once we move that I think are going to be pivotal to getting people off the streets and into the rescue mission and into housing eventually. And I think that Roanoke may be a model for other communities to look at. So we're really excited about those changes that we're going to make.
Yeah, so you just had a news conference about this center.
Yes.
So give us the full vision of what this facility is going to be and how it's going to increase your outreach to Roanoke.
Well, the thing I will say that Ram House has always done really well is take care of the basic needs of the most vulnerable people. Up until recently, I would say about 75% of our clients sleep outside, and they're severely addicted, and they're severely mentally ill, many of them.
And when you say 75% of your clients, how many clients are you seeing on a daily basis?
In the shelter, we see a lot of people, but in the shelter, there's probably between 50 and 75 a day. We saw 1,619 individuals in 2023. Recently, our population has increased because Lee Clark at the Rescue Mission, who is so awesome, is transporting some people who have mobility issues and couldn't get here. So we have a population of ladies that are a little older that are here now. And we have more women here than we've ever had in the past. And that's been delightful to me.
Yeah. You are, just so people who may not know about Ram House, you are a day shelter for people who are unhoused. So they come.
Right. And we work in tandem with the rescue mission because although they do a lot of other things, one of their core competencies is overnight shelter. Right. So we are the largest day shelter.
Right. So they get to you, they have access to washing machine, the clothing, food, water, just a place to either cool off in the summer months or get warm during the winter months during the daytime.
That's exactly right. We take them out of the harsh environment and we give them a place to come to during the day where they're safe.
And you also provide some financial assistance for those who maybe are trying to get into an apartment or something, to find some shelter if they need that, or to help them with a utility bill so that they can stay in the place that they currently have. Is that correct?
We helped 927 families stay in their homes last year.
Wow.
Now, to me, it's very important for the people in the shelter for us to help them get housed. The problem is with the current model that we have, we can't get them healthy enough to sustain housing. So that's sort of where the vision is going. How do we get people in the position where they can navigate the world better?
Right. And that kind of brings us back to the Jane Center. And I want you to talk about that. Let me reintroduce you real quickly, talking with Melissa Woodson, Executive Director of Ram House, Roanoke Area Ministries. And she's been in the job now for just over 4 years, but remarkable work that she has done during that time, including the latest announcement. Now, tell us, you mentioned that you just are in the process of purchasing a building on Elm Avenue in downtown Roanoke. What will this place look like once it is fully up and running?
We actually own it.
You own it.
We
Okay.
paid for it. Yeah, we raised the money and we paid for it. And that's thanks to the R Hunt Foundation through the Jane family, Virginia Transformer. Like I was talking about serendipity, shortly after you came here, Mrs. Jane came in and wanted to tour the building, and I didn't think much of it. And a few days later, she called me and she says, "We want to buy you a building." And I was like,
Wow.
okay. And things have evolved since then. But in answer to your question, so one of the things in the new building that to me is so essential is we're going to have showers. Currently at Ram House, people bathe out of sinks. It's unacceptable. When we have people coming from the outside, they need to start their day with a shower. We can't expect them to be in a good frame of mind to get better if they don't have access to showers. So that's one of the things. This building is not configured to have the handicapped accessibility and the office space that we need. So the new building will have office space for people to be able to provide mental health access. We're working with Brightview. We're working with Support Services LLC. And one of the things that I'm so excited about is one of our board members, a very recent doctor, Dr. Lauren Canary, is with Carillion, and her vision is for us to have a medical clinic where the Virginia Tech residents will come and see our people. And amazingly, we also are working with the Virginia Harm Reduction Coalition. And Danny Clausen, who's the executive director over there, she really has vision for meeting people where they are. You know, the traditional model has been, you've got to be, quote, clean for us to help you. And the new vision, and we've all seen Beth Macy write about this. The new vision is these people are so ill from opioid addiction that they can't navigate the world very well. And as one of my board members, Ali Hamid Moore, who works with Anderson and Associates, said to me, it's like when you medicate people and you give them Suboxone or you give them methadone, it's like putting a wetsuit on someone who's out in the middle of the Arctic. They get better so that they can concentrate on the next steps. So our vision is to do that. Now, Michael, I'll tell you, I've talked to a lot of people, oh, you're just substituting one drug for another. And I say to them, so what? If people can take a medication that is going to help them stabilize, get a job, see their grandchildren, support their families, why would we not do that? You know, so that's part of it. We're going to have space for Alcohol Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous. We don't have anything like that now. We don't have the space for it.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty excited about the fact that we're working with Workforce Development on a huge grant that we're applying for. And they've been wonderful. What we want to do is have their staff come on site to work with some of our financial aid clients to get them better jobs or to get them a job, period. So we stabilize them. So that's part of the vision. The computer lab access is very important to us. So there's going to be sort of a quiet room for clients to go to where they can study and work on their resumes and work with workforce development. So that's the complete vision.
Fantastic. And the cost of this vision is going to be what?
It is $4.3 million. And I mean, we're hitting critical mass here. We got a ways to go, but I can't believe it. We have raised to date $1.6 million.
Wow.
We have $450,000 in grants pending at this point. Candace Bell, the development director here, has done a fabulous job applying for capital campaign grants. And we have, from our awareness event last week, we have 3 prospects that are looking good. So we still have a ways to go. And as you know, when you're doing capital campaigns, you also have to keep the shop going, right? So it's important for your listeners who aren't of the means to give big money to the capital campaign. Of course, they can if they want to, but to keep donating to us so that we can survive until we get into the new building. We still have rent to pay. We still have, food to cook. We still have staff to pay. So that's an important balance. So far, so good. I was really concerned when we started raising money that people would say, oh, they're getting lots of money. I don't need to give them money. And that's not happened. Fortunately, people are continuing to put money into our programming, our current programming. And I'm so thankful for that.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like there's this great financial model or revenue stream, for taking care of people who are homeless.
Right. It's very tricky.
Yeah. You're not able to, charge them a fee for, helping them because they have no money. There's no financial profit or gain for, helping the homeless. And so you're already relying on charitable contributions just to operate what you currently are doing. And then meanwhile, you're also trying to embark on this huge capital campaign, that also is going to require charitable contributions. So
you got it. And, interestingly, currently, the major players in the homeless industry is working with the city to provide transportation between the major places that homeless people need services. For example, it's a very important in the mornings and the evenings that rescue mission clients get to the Ram House. And although Lee Clark is doing his best right now, we can't always rely on volunteers, and we need a more professional investment in transportation for between the Ram House and the rescue mission. And Tina Workman from Workforce Development is also Tina Workman from Downtown Roanoke Incorporated is working with us to try to get people off the streets during the day and into productive activities that will return them to citizenry. So right now there's a synergy amongst the homeless community. And I'm very pleased that we all see that we need to work closely together, because even though all of us compete for funding, the bottom line for me is if we're doing a good job, all the community is going to support every single one of us. So that's been important to me, and things seem to be moving in a good way. I'm hoping that Roanoke has caught this problem in time. And maybe, as I said earlier in the interview, that we'll get to a point where we'll be a model that other communities will be looking at.
What's the timeline for the Jane Center to open?
Well, right now we have some background steps to take with the city and with the Architectural Review Board. I am hoping that construction can start about August. We're working with Lionberger Construction and Balzer Associates for our architectural plans, and they're telling me that'll be about a year. So hopefully, if everything goes as planned, which how these things are, things can crop up. But I would love if we were in there by the fall of 2025.
Okay. Of course, you also need to keep raising money to make this happen. And so for people who are interested in this, where do they need to go in order to participate?
There is on our website, which is www.raminc.org. There is what you can do to help. We have a capital campaign button you can push to give money. We have a button on there where you can support general operations. We need people to come in here and volunteer all the time. There's a volunteer form on there. And the other thing, and what Ram House has always been a machine about, we have a needs list on there. 7 days a week, people bring us clothing, they bring us food, they bring us paper towels, they bring us sandwich bags, they bring us gloves for the kitchen. There's always a needs list on the website as well. So those are the various ways that people can be helpful to us.
Nice. Nice. Once again, joined here on Buzz for Good by Melissa Woodson, the executive director of Ram House. And if you want to kind of get an up close and personal look at Ram House without actually visiting Ram House, you can go back to our website, buzzforgood.com, or our YouTube channel at Buzz for Good, and watch episode number 4 of Buzz way back in August of 2020, which featured Ram House.
You know, one thing I want to say, though, it's like when I first got here, I knew we did all these things, but I never knew in a nutshell how to say everything we did. And the Buzz for Good episode really helped me, because you were able to capture it in a meaningful way that would make sense to people. So I thank you for that too. I don't think you have any idea how much I think you and Dan had to do with me being able to put the pieces together early on. And I thank you for that. I really do.
Oh,
so
you're very sweet. Very sweet.
Oh, I'm very serious. I very, very grateful. Very grateful. And for Leonard, the interesting thing about that is we do these capital campaigns, and, recently Leonard, the PSAs he's been putting out for us for free are just phenomenal. He sends us money every year. It's just been, he's an incredible human being. He really is.
You talk about Leonard Wheeler,
yes,
Media, Wheeler Digital, who was the pro bono marketing partner for that episode of Buzz for Ram.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they have been, they're real Ram fam. And the other thing, Michael, is you're the Ram fam. If you look at that logo right there, that I am Ram fam hashtag, it is, it's been very helpful. I'm so glad that Ram and fam rhyme, but I would never have thought of that on my own. You're the one that did that.
Melissa, just thank you so much for the work that you and Ram House is doing for our unhoused population in the Roanoke area. Final question, once this Jane Center opens, what does Roanoke look like?
My hope is that we take some of these suffering people out of these encampments. Now, we're never going to be able to help everybody. We're not going to be able to do it. But it's a significant point in time where we need to curb the tide because there's too many people sleeping outdoors. And to get them stable enough to stay overnight in the rescue mission is so important to me. The people are suffering. They need the services. Our campaign name is One Stop to Home. So our dream is to provide that daytime service that will give them all the tools they need to get better. And I think Roanoke will look like a healthier community once the new Ram House opens.
Well, thank you so much again, my friend, and appreciate all that you and Ram House and all your many staff members and volunteers do to take care of our homeless population and make Roanoke a healthier, better place to live.
It's been an amazing journey. And I will tell you, I have had people surround me that have upheld me and been so loyal and so wonderful. And there has been bumps in the road along the way, but anytime you're making change, that's going to be the case. I've learned a great deal about humanity during this journey. And I will say that the Roanoke community is one of the most loving places I have ever been. And I know in my heart that they're going to run this ball home and it's going to all work out. Thank you so much, Michael.
Many thanks again to Melissa Woodson for all she and Ram House does to care for our region's homeless. And if you want to learn more about their work, please go to raminc.org. That's raminc.org. And that'll do it for today's Buzz for Good. Please, as a reminder, we hope to see you June 26th at Old Salem Brewery on Market Street in downtown Roanoke at 5 p.m. as we premiere our 49th episode of Buzz, our TV show, starring McAfee Knob and all the various partners who help protect it and promote it. And of course, we hope to see you on July 17th when we present our 50th episode at the Grandin Theater. Please Visit our website, buzzforgood.com. That's buzz, B-U-Z-Z, 4good.com for more information. We're also on all the social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, even TikTok, all at Buzz for Good. Until next time, we hope you continue being a buzz for good in your community and supporting the nonprofits that make it an even better place to live. Bye now.